Findlay.
Thanks very much, John. Can I first of all say it's a pleasure to be here, and can I wish everyone the best from the Campaign for Socialism in Scotland, which is the sister organisation to the LRC. And can I also say it's absolutely fantastic to see John back, looking well, playing fit. Being working class, we don't like praise, but John is an outstanding parliamentarian and socialist, and we need him more than ever now. So, John, good to see you back. Can I say I'm here to speak about defending the link? Absolutely, committed to that. I want to take a wee different look at that, because the link I'm talking about is the link between working people in Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom, because this is critical, folks. I don't think people at this conference realise the consequences of what will happen for our people and our class if Scotland is independent. Because some people think that independence is a naturally progressive thing, and I'm going to tell you tonight it's not. Absolutely it isn't. We've not been colonised in Scotland. We've not had civil war. Now, in countries and situations where that has happened, nationalism can be a progressive thing, and socialists have supported that. We're in a totally different situation where we are. So if you think about independence, it should be a very simple idea. All powers taken to Scotland, all taxes raised and spent in Scotland. It's quite simple, quite a simple concept. That is not what is on offer. Because we're now told that in independent Scotland, we'll have the Queen as the head of state still, God bless her. We will have the Bank of England as the regulator and the lender of last resort, the Bank of England, which will be a foreign country under independence. We're going to be a member of NATO and the EU. If you listen to some members of the SNP, they want to join the Euro. What a great idea the Euro is, eh? Who thought of that, eh? The Euro, the country that brought us civilization is Greece. Look what has been reduced to by being involved in the Euro. It's absolute travesty what's happened to the Greek people. And some people in the SNP believe that the Euro is where we should be going. One member of the SNP suggested we could join the yen. I joke not, friends, I tell you that. But meanwhile, back in the real world, that is the offer that's on the table. But you know the biggest danger? They want us to have a monetary arrangement called the sterling zone. Hands up anyone who can explain to anyone what the sterling zone is, because I've never heard of it. Alex Salmond has made this up. So what he wants is an independent Scotland to still have the pound as a currency, run by the Bank of England, with no MPs at Westminster to have any influence over that policy. The UK government, or what's left of the UK government, signing off a Scottish budget, and we will retain the sterling as the currency. Now, if there's any message from the Eurozone crisis, it's that you cannot have economic union without political union, and that is exactly what they are proposing. It is madness. It is absolute madness. However, for working people, the intricacies of a sterling zone and whatever, they won't be given a shit about. But I'll tell you what they will be given a shit about is their public services. The main thrust of the SNP's economic policy is that they want to cut corporation tax to be the most competitive in Europe. The most competitive in Europe. UK corporation tax has been cut by Osborne to 25%. If we have to be the most competitive in Europe, we have to go below Ireland, which is 12.5%. What would that do to public services? Sucking billions of pounds out of public services. What would that do to public services in Scotland? But here is the rub for people across the United Kingdom. If Scotland is out there attracting inward investors to come in, they're going to say, where will we locate in the United Kingdom? Oh, let's have a look at the corporation tax rate. Oh, Scots, you can go and you can get 12.5% or 10%. Why would we go to England? Why would we go to Wales? What will happen next? England will cut the corporation tax rate. Then Wales will cut the corporation tax rate. Then somebody else will cut it, and the regions, and we'll be in a race to the bottom that inevitably ends up with wages cut, working conditions down, and our people in our class shafted even further than they are at the moment. People, you have to wake up to what's happening in Scotland, seriously. I'm very disappointed in this conference. The whole conference should have been dominated by the Scottish issue because it has such implications for everyone else. It's hardly registered in murmur. So, my ask to you today is that you wake up to that. The SNP tell us that they want Scandinavian levels of social services. I think we all want that, don't we? I would have that. But you can't have Scandinavian levels of social services with Texan levels of taxation. It simply is impossible. Can I also say one of the things that really drives us in Scotland is that we, people who are involved on the left and involved in the trade unions, is we absolutely believe in solidarity. Myself, I was a bricklayer to trade. I've got more in common with a bricklayer in Liverpool or London than I ever will with an Edinburgh merchant banker or a Highland duke. And you know as much as I do that it's class that matters, it's not nation that matters. And let's wake up to that. Can I also say to you, if you're a member of a trade union, you need to go and speak to your trade unions. Because some of them are kind of a bit ambivalent to what's happening there. They're getting a bit of pressure from the underneath. The SNP are a very clever political party. They've infiltrated the trade unions, they've taken over some of our ground, and they're influencing quite significantly. Some of the trade unions are saying, well, you know, New Labour did this and all that kind of stuff, and actually, well, the SNP have done okay, and maybe we should just go with it. Please say to them, come and speak to the left in Scotland, the people who are actually working on the ground, and let us convince them that the trade unions should not be going anywhere near this with a barge pole, because it's got disaster written all over it. One of the reasons I would say that is because, you know what? The motto of our movement is unity is strength. If we divide the trade union movement as the biggest challenge to the power of capital, then we will all be weaker, and if people don't wake up to that fact just now, it will be too late. So please influence your trade unions and ask them to make those the right decision. Throughout our history, the progressive gains that we've won, universal education, the NHS, minimum wage, rights for workers and all the rest of it, they have been won and not handed down to us by the elites and the powerful. And they've been won because working people across Scotland, England, Wales and actually across the world have argued and agitated for those progressive causes. We did it together. We won't do it apart. Wake up and smell what's happening in Scotland, because it's coming to your door, and if you don't wake up to it, it's all going to be too late. Comrades, can I say one final thing? And it's a plug. Right after the last Scottish election, which was a disaster in Scotland, unbelievable, we were losing seats. In Glasgow, Shettleston we lost. It's the equivalent of losing balls over, right? I kid you not. We lost seats like that. Right after the election, a group of us got together and said, there's a referendum coming, we need to have a Labour movement position that argues against independence. That has resulted in a book being written, The Red Paper in Scotland 2014, and this follows on from a tradition. The first Red Paper was written in 1975, and it was the same, 20-odd people got together, and it was edited by a radical young socialist. Can anybody tell me what his name was? The very man. And let me tell you who wrote in that book. A young radical Glasgow City Councillor. Can anybody tell me his name?
Vince Cable.
Vince Cable. God bless him. Whatever happened to that bastard? Now, we've done the same, 25 people across the movement, writing about what is a Labour movement alternative to to independence. Owen very kindly wrote the foreword for us. I can flog you a copy for £8. This is what Labour should be presenting as the alternative to independence. Maintaining UK-wide solidarity, maintaining the links with working people across the United Kingdom, and arguing for a better future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil.